Hey everyone, so we're Squirrels in My Pants Studios, and our game is Squirrel Simulator. So we're going to start with some introductions. I'm Jake Berger, and I am the producer and the team lead.
I'm Con Nguyen. I will be the artist and designer of this game.
I'm Hugh. I am the artist and designer as well.
I'm Dan. I'm an engineer of this game.
I'm Otis. I'm also an engineer.
I'm Shashank. I'm an engineer and a sound engineer as well.
I'm Jorge, and I'm a producer.
And this is just kind of an outline of what our presentation is going to look like. So we're going to start with kind of the story of Squirrel Simulator, go into some of the characters, a few of our levels, and then some of what the gameplay is going to look like.
Alright, so our story is that students around U of H have been mysteriously disappearing. You, Skylar, a newly enrolled student at U of H, one day drifts off into slumber, and they have a vivid nightmare of being in a dreary lab trying to escape a psychotic doctor. When they awake, eventually, they find themselves in front of the lawn at PGH and are horrified to discover that they have been turned into a squirrel. As a squirrel, Skylar faces various challenges throughout the course of the story and game, such as establishing communication with students, fighting off predators and enemies, solving puzzles, and uncovering hidden secrets on campus. Let's go into the characters. So this is Skylar. They are charismatic and intuitive, and they will be battling different trials throughout this game and finding out what college life has to offer in terms of the challenges. And unbeknownst to them, they will turn to a squirrel. This is Dr. Evil. It's a very discreet name. He is the main antagonist of this game. He has a strong hatred for students who either don't like his classes or simply do not like him in general. And whether you like it or not, you will be seeing him throughout the game. And this is Jimmy. He is a homie of ours, Skylar. He's a pretty chill guy. He does not take most things seriously, and he will help you throughout the game in providing you safety in his dorm, where you can regain health, store items, and just talk to him. He also does like Slim Jim. And this is Brittany. Who is she? Friend? Enemy? Just a bird? Find out in our game. More characters to be determined as we iron out the plot and have Jake take on the levels.
Yep, so we're going to have a few levels of this game that take place around campus pretty much. First up, we have the room that we are in right now, bit of a kind of breaking the wall right here. But over here, this is like the main classroom setting. The squirrel's going to have to try to get into the building and talk to students, but there's going to be various challenges, like a guy that comes out and is like, hey, no squirrels allowed in here, you know? And we're going to be 3D modeling all these buildings as well. But the PGH level is basically going to be the first level of the game, and it's where you have to try to establish communication with our good old pal Slim Jim. Next up, we have the technology building. So if anyone has actually been into the College of Technology building, it's pretty eerie, pretty abandoned, and this is where Dr. Evil is going to be having his operations going on here. So he has his lab in here, and he also kind of tortures his students in this class as well. Not literally, but figuratively, of course, and somewhat literally. And then in this level, you have to snoop around his lab and try to find hints and clues about how you got into the unfortunate situation of being turned into a squirrel. So we're also going to have Moody Towers. This is going to be Slim Jim's dorm, as well as the dining hall, which is where a level called Dine Dash will take place. More details to be determined. But basically, Slim Jim's dorm, as Colin mentioned, is going to be the safe house for our character. It's going to be the medical center in Pokemon, if you guys recall that. And you'll be able to go in there, store inventory, regain health, talk to Slim Jim. He'll just be there, NPC dialogue. And then lastly, we're going to have the Butler Plaza and the library, so that kind of area around campus. And this will be kind of the main courtyard where you're at, trying to collect resources. So you have to collect all sorts of different resources to be able to communicate with students as well as to stay alive. And in this area, you're going to have a whole bunch of enemies trying to attack you. So speaking of the enemies, we're going to be going into that in the gameplay. So first up in the gameplay, you have to help Skylar the Squirrel navigate around a 3D render of UH to collect different items, solve puzzles, and avoid enemies, and just complete a variety of different tasks. So Skylar will have 10 acorns as like the health bar system, and it'll be depleted whenever an enemy hits you. Their health will reach 3 acorns, and then they'll be like unable to sprint. So it's kind of like Minecraft in that way. And the items that you'll be able to collect so far that we have is bread and various food items to regain health. We're gonna create a slingshot where you can like fire at enemies, as well as a few other gadgets to help you not die. And then there's gonna be papers and pencils that you'll have to collect a certain amount of to be able to establish communication with students. And then lastly, you'll have a knapsack. So that's like those good old fashioned like ones that you hold over your like back, and that'll be to store your inventory. So some of the enemies that you'll encounter will be hawks. They'll kind of just be like swooping down and like trying to kill you. You'll have possums and cats around campus, which will like be scratching you and biting you maybe. And then you'll have a pest control guy that's just like wandering around, and he'll be like spraying some gas at you that will deal a splash damage, basically. There's also going to be boss battles at the end of each level. So far we have Brittany the bird, who will be one of the bosses. But she may be a friend, maybe an enemy, who knows? But you will have to face her in its own sort of level. And then the final boss battle will be against Dr. Evil, and all of the missing students around campus that have been turned into creatures will join forces with you to try to defeat Dr. Evil and obtain the antidote to become human again. So that's our presentation. Thank you guys very much.